Have you ever second guessed yourself after making a decision? Maybe you've replayed a conversation over and over in your mind, wondering if you've said the wrong thing. Maybe you've hesitated before speaking because you worried someone might disagree with you. Or perhaps you spent too much time caring for everyone else that you've forgotten how to trust your own inner voice. If any of that feels familiar, you're not alone. Today, we're continuing our sacred journey through the chakra series by exploring the Solar Plexus Chakra, the energy center associated with confidence, self-worth, courage, boundaries, motivation, and personal power. And if you've ever struggled with self-doubt, people-pleasing, perfectionism, fear of failure, or feeling like you have to earn your worth, this conversation is for you, especially if you are an empath, a sensitive soul, or a seeker. Today, we'll explore what the solar plexus chakra is, how it can influence our emotional well being, signs it may be out of balance, and gentle ways we can support ourselves through mindfulness, movement, reflection, aromatherapy, crystals, affirmations, self compassion. So find a comfortable place to settle in, take a slow, deep breath, and let's begin. Hello, and welcome back to Healing Our Kindred Spirits. I am Donna Gaudette, and I'm so grateful you're here. Whether you're listening while taking a walk, enjoying a quiet moment at home, driving to work, or simply needing a little encouragement today, I want you to know you're welcome exactly as you are. Before we begin, I want to gently remind you that today's episode is offered for educational, spiritual, and self reflection purposes only, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, or replace professional medical or mental health care. As always, take what resonates with you and simply leave the rest. So, what are the chakras and why do they matter? Before we explore today's chakra, let's take a brief moment to revisit what the chakra system is. The word chakra comes from Sanskrit and means wheel or disc. The chakra system originated thousands of years ago in ancient India and describes energy centers throughout the body that are believed to influence our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well being. Whether you view chakras as literal energy centers, powerful symbols of self awareness, or simply another way of understanding your emotional experiences, they can offer valuable insight into the patterns that we carry in the areas of our lives that may need attention and healing. So today we're focusing on the third chakra, which is the solar plexus. We covered the root, the sacral, now it's the solar. And I've noticed something over the years. Many of the kindest people I know struggle the most with self trust, and that includes me. They'll encourage others, they'll support others, they have belief, they cheer each other on. But when it comes to ourselves, we are often our own harshest critic. And I wonder if you've experienced that too. I know for me, this is definitely true. I am my own worst enemy when it comes to believing in myself or what I'm capable of doing. Maybe you've doubted a decision even after carefully thinking it through. Maybe you've even dismissed your intuition. Maybe you've talked yourself out of opportunities because you didn't feel ready. Or maybe you've spent years waiting for someone to confirm what your heart already knew. So I want to start off by asking you this question. How often do you trust other people's opinions more than your own? Take a moment and honestly consider that for a moment. Because for many of us, self doubt isn't an occasional visitor, it becomes habit. And habits can quietly shape our lives, even without us realizing it. So, understanding the solar plexus chakra, it's also known in Sanskrit as Manipura, Manipura, and Manipura is often translated as lustrous gem or city of jewels. It is located in the upper abdomen around the stomach area, usually right below the navel. And the color associated with this chakra is yellow, the color of sunshine, warmth, energy, vitality. And the solar plexus chakra is associated with confidence, self worth, personal power, courage, motivation, boundaries, self trust, decision making. So if the root chakra asks, am I safe? And the sacral chakra asks, can I feel and experience joy? The solar plexus asks, do I believe in myself? And for many of us, that can be a surprisingly difficult question to answer. For many of us, self doubt plagues us constantly, no matter what decision we need to consider, or as I like to call it, analysis paralysis. I'm guilty of that one. So, why do empaths, caregivers, sensitive souls, and seekers often relate to chakra imbalances? Doesn't mean it can't affect other people, but we're talking about predominantly this population right now. But it can be applied to everyone. One of the reasons many empaths and sensitive people are drawn to the chakra system is because it provides a language for experiences they often struggle to describe. When you're highly sensitive, you tend to process life deeply. I say this with confidence because that's me. I'm highly sensitive. You may notice subtle shifts in emotions. You may absorb the energy of a room. You may feel responsible for helping others. You may carry stress, grief, worry long after the event has passed. Like me, I lay in bed at night and I replay every scenario over and over again, thinking that an outcome might have been different. And over time, those emotional experiences can begin to affect how grounded, connected, confident, expressive, or even open hearted you feel. That's where the chakra system can become a helpful tool for reflection. So instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You can begin by asking, what part of myself may need more attention right now? When I first started learning about the chakras, it was after I learned and was attuned to my first level of Reiki. I first heard that word and I had never heard it before in my life. And I wanted to learn more about it. And once I did, it was like this world opened up before me and I needed to learn everything there was about it. I felt so connected to it. I felt one with it. I felt that I felt the vibration of that chakra system. And throughout the last 20 years, I have incorporated chakra energy work into my daily life, into helping other people. It's just something to me that feels a natural extension of who I am. So whether you're new to it or you've been doing it for a while or understand it on a different level, good for you for tuning in and wanting to learn more about the chakras. So today I want to briefly break down why and how the chakra system and learning about it and understanding it in better terms can help empaths, sensitive souls, and caregivers understand their emotions a little bit better. So for empaths, empaths often feel everything intensely. And if you're an empath, you know what that's like. Because we naturally tune into the emotions of others and we sometimes lose touch with our own needs. For example, a root chakra imbalance might show up as anxiety, overwhelm, or feeling unsafe in the world. A sacral chakra imbalance might show up as emotional exhaustion or difficulty experiencing joy. And a solar plexus imbalance might appear as weak boundaries or difficulty saying no. And we have the heart chakra, which the heart chakra imbalance may result from carrying the pain of others while neglecting our own healing. And then we have the throat chakra, which an imbalance can show up as struggling to express our needs because we fear of disappointing others. So many empaths spend so much energy caring for everyone else that their own emotional reserves become depleted over time. And if you were a caregiver, because caregivers, we often live from the heart. And whether you're caring for children, aging parents, partners, clients, friends, a spouse, we frequently put others first. And over time, you may experience compassion fatigue, emotional burnout, resentment, feelings of guilt when resting, and we even have difficulty receiving support for ourselves. So within the chakra framework, this often relates to the heart chakra becoming overextended and the solar plexus chakra becoming depleted. And as a caregiver, we may continue giving love and support, but we're also forgetting that we deserve those same things. And as someone who was a caregiver for my dad for 5 years, and even though my dad was the easiest going person you'll ever meet, being a caregiver is one of the hardest, most intensively emotionally draining, and uplifting things you'll ever do in your life. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. And you know what? I would do it all over again. As hard and as stressful as it was emotionally and physically and even spiritually, having that time with my dad, I would do it all over again. But I would learn to take better care of myself. So for sensitive souls tend to experience life deeply as well. We may be highly intuitive, creative, compassionate, and emotionally aware. But because we process experiences so deeply, we may also carry unresolved emotions longer than others do. It could be anything from a difficult conversation, a criticism, a loss, or even a disappointment. So these experiences may linger long after others have moved on. And the chakra system can help sensitive souls identify where they feel emotionally stuck and where the healing may be needed. So for seekers are often searching for meaning. They ask big questions like, why am I here? What is my purpose? How do I heal? How do I become more authentic? Because seekers are constantly growing and evolving, they may experience periods where maybe certain chakras feel more active than others. For example, the heart chakra may be asking them to heal old wounds, and the throat chakra may be inviting them to speak their truth. And the third chakra jumps in and says, and wants to encourage greater self awareness and intuition. The crown chakra may inspire a deeper sense of connection to something larger than ourselves. The chakra system becomes less about fixing yourself and more about understanding yourself. I think many sensitive souls spend years learning how to take care of everyone else. Can you relate to being an empath, a sensitive soul, or a seeker? For me personally, I am all three. I tend to feel things so deeply, and I always have since I was a kid. And as an adult, not much has really changed. You will find, if you've listened to some of my episodes that you've listened to on the podcast for any amount of time, that when I am talking about something that impacts me emotionally, spiritually, or anything along those lines, or sharing a personal story, I will sometimes become emotional, and I don't edit that out, and I don't apologize for it, only because this podcast is about authenticity and being human. Emotions are something all of us humans experience, and I don't edit that. My grandkids, especially my granddaughters, will often call me Weepy Nini because I have so much love for them. And when talking to them, I will get emotional. They will joke with me and say, "You're my Weepy Nini." And I don't get offended by it because, for one thing, I am showing them that it's okay to show emotion, that it's okay to be vulnerable. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we can give our children. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and open and maybe even emotionally porous, we learn how to listen, how to support, how to comfort, how to make room for other people's emotions. But somewhere along the way, we stop making room for ourselves, don't we? We begin looking outside ourselves for validation. We wait for permission. We even doubt our instincts. We shrink our needs. We apologize for taking up space. Maybe you've experienced that too. So let's talk about some of the signs of a depleted solar plexus chakra. Again, these are not diagnoses, they're simply opportunities for reflection. So maybe you can identify with one or more of these. So when the solar plexus chakra feels depleted or underactive, some people notice difficulty making decisions, chronic self doubt, low confidence, fear of failure, difficulty setting boundaries, lack of motivation, feeling powerless, seeking constant reassurance, comparing yourself to others, and feeling invisible. This one hits home for me quite a bit. You may notice some of these in yourself or maybe notice them in others. So I want to ask you another question. When was the last time that you truly trusted your own judgment? not after asking 5 other people, not after researching for hours, just trusting yourself. And if you did, how did that feel? So let's talk about some of the signs of an overactive solar plexus. Interestingly, imbalances can also show up in the opposite direction. Remember, think of yin yang. So some people may experience perfectionism. I'm raising my hand. That's me. Needing to control outcomes. That's me again. Difficulty delegating and constant achievement seeking. Harsh self criticism. Workaholism. That's a tough word to say. Workaholism. Feeling responsible for everything. This is something that I have struggled with my entire life, both as a child, young adult, new wife, a new mom. With anything in my life, I've always felt responsible for everybody's comfort, for their happiness, for anything going on in their life. And I know that's not a real thing that I needed to do, but it was just so ingrained in me that I just took on that role. So, underneath both patterns often lies the same desire, the desire to feel worthy, the desire to feel safe, and the desire to feel enough. Have you ever heard the word or the phrase giving away your power? So, what are some of the signs that we may be giving away our power? Because that gets used often in spiritual circles, but what does it actually mean? Sometimes it means ignoring your intuition, constantly seeking reassurance, letting fear make your decisions, allowing other people to define your worth. And sadly, many of us struggle with this, and I'm not immune to that. Remaining silent when something doesn't feel right, staying in situations that no longer serve you, whether it's a job, a relationship, a friendship, shrinking yourself so others remain comfortable. So, quick question: where in your life might you be making yourself smaller? Take a breath on that for a moment. No judgment, only awareness, because awareness is often where healing begins. So, where in your life might you be making yourself smaller? So, let's talk about what a healthy solar plexus chakra feels like or looks like. A balanced solar plexus chakra doesn't mean you walk around feeling confident every minute of every day. That would be absolutely exhausting, wouldn't it? It doesn't mean you never experience fear or uncertainty or self doubt. It means you trust yourself enough to keep moving forward anyway. It means you honor your needs, you speak kindly to yourself, you set healthy boundaries, you take responsibility without carrying the entire world on your shoulders. You know your worth is not determined by productivity, perfection, or other people's approval. Let me repeat that again. You know your worth is not determined by productivity, perfection, or other people's approval. Because it's a quiet confidence, a steady confidence. It's not loud, it's not boastful, but being simply grounded. And I want to ask you another question. If you truly believed you were enough, what would change in your life? Would you finally rest? Would you stop apologizing so much? Would you pursue a dream? Would you set a boundary? Would you trust your instincts? Think about that for a moment because sometimes the answers reveal more than we expect. For me personally, and I know I have touched on this in other episodes, trusting myself enough to be able to start this podcast was something that I had to, what I call, quiet the gremlins in my mind who constantly fed me so much doubt and fear and lack of trust. And even though my intuition told me it was the right thing to do, I kept canceling it out. I felt that I wasn't worthy enough, that I wasn't intelligent enough, that I wasn't that I wasn't smart enough, that I wouldn't have enough to say or have anything of value to share with other people. I know now that I do have value and that I do help people and that I can be of service through what I share on here on this podcast. But like all of you, this is a constant struggle with anything in life, and I am not immune to that. It's not like you fix it and it goes away. It's something you have to work at, especially if you are an empath or a sensitive soul. And I never want you to feel that it's a once and done thing because life takes work, doesn't it? Going through this in life is something that you will go through many times. It's not like you balance your chakras. Okay, I'm good for the next 30 years. No, because things come along, whether it's bad news, whether it's something in the mail you weren't expecting, whether it's an email that really ticked you off. Those things can contribute to having your chakras become imbalanced, skewered, untethered. You know, it can affect your energy in so many ways because everything is energy. And it's not about how many times you deal with something or you face it, it's how you get through it each and every time. So, one of the things I appreciate about the chakra system is that it offers gentle ways to reconnect with ourselves. And I always tell people if something doesn't resonate with you, take what you want and leave the rest. These are just suggestions. It's not a quick fix, but it's a practice and a reminder to return to ourselves, our whole selves. So, what are some things that you can do to help balance your solar plexus? Sunlight is one of them because the solar plexus is connected with the energy of the sun. Even a few moments outdoors can feel nourishing. And of course, use safety when you're out in the sun, be protected. But notice the warmth on your skin. I, for one, I prefer cloudy days than sunny days. And when the sun hits my skin, it because of the health conditions I have, it literally hurts me. But the sunlight can be very healing for much of the population. And then light, the feeling of being connected to something larger than yourself. I mean this in a spiritual sense. It's not about finding the great light in life. It's about finding the light that shines right for you at this moment. And that could be anything that you feel connected to. What makes you want to get up in the morning? What makes you feel whole? What makes you feel connected? And then we have movement. Movement can help us reconnect with our strength, not because we need to earn our worth, but because our bodies often hold wisdom that our minds forget. So some supportive practices include walking, stretching, tai chi, gentle yoga, dancing, or simply moving in ways that feel good. And if you have mobility issues like I do, walking is challenging, you can do stretching while sitting down, lying down. You can do seated tai chi, you can do seated yoga. You can sit down and do some dance moves. Everything is modifiable. There are so many videos and programs out there that most of them are free online that you can just go ahead and feel what you're connected to. But movement is very important. And if you do any type of yoga, little little tidbit of information here. If you do any type of yoga, some solar plexus chakra yoga poses often include warrior one, warrior two, the boat pose, plank, and even some gentle twists. So, what's your favorite movement? What movement makes you strong? And what movement reminds you that you are still alive and well? I want to talk about aromatherapy for a moment. And some people, I know I do, some people enjoy working with essential oils associated with confidence, clarity, and vitality. And some of the ones associated with the solar plexus is lemon, sweet orange, grapefruit, bergamot, ginger, because their bright, uplifting scents can serve as gentle reminders of light, optimism, even personal empowerment. My favorite aromatherapy essential oils all center around anything citrusy because I find it energizing. And again, it's about finding good quality essential oils that are not harmful or contain harmful ingredients. And remember, there is a difference between fragrance oils and essential oils. So please, please, please know the basics for aromatherapy before using any essential oils. And if you have pets, be mindful of what essential oils could be harmful for them because what might feel good for you could be harmful for your pet. And always use essential oils safely and according with the directions. And then we have crystals, my favorite crystals. Whether you view crystals as energetic tools or simply beautiful reminders of your intentions, many people associate the following stones with the solar plexus chakra. Citrine, which is yellow gold, um, tiger's eye, yellow jasper, pyrite, golden calcite, And sometimes simply holding a crystal while setting an intention can become a meaningful mindfulness practice. And here's a little bit of info about citrine. Citrine is one of those stones that never has to be cleansed. When I talk about cleansed, I talk about cleansing it in water in the moonlight or burying it in dirt. I still cleanse all my crystals or charge them in the moonlight, but citrine is one of those amazing, powerful stones that works well with rose quartz, amethyst, and clear quartz. And I never leave home without my little pouch in my handbag that contains rose quartz, amethyst, clear quartz, citrine. That's my first aid kit. And I call it my spiritual first aid kit. And here's a little story. When I used to work in corporate America and I had to go to a meeting, one they used to usually be tense or long or frustrating, I always carried one or two stones in my pocket. I always had them in my cubicle near me at all times. Or if I didn't have a pocket, I would put them somewhere on me, usually on my bra or in my bra. And my cubicle always had stones in there. I always had them in there. One, because I loved their presence and how they made me feel. It was not for anyone else but for me. And second, if someone came in to give me a hard time about something, it would change the energy from them being frustrated to them feeling like a calmness. And I know that sounds weird, but it did. I had a manager that was always on 10 level when she got frustrated. And by the time she got to my cubicle, she stood in the doorway and she calmed down to like a 6. So, and even at one point, I put small pieces of citrine at the entrance to my cubicle on either side of the panel. And strangely enough, those that were really charged when they came toward me because to complain about something, always would just deflate before they came into my cubicle. Now, this is just my experience, but I just wanted to share that. Crystals can just be something pretty you look at, or they can have intention. You decide what you want to do with them. And then we have color therapy. And if you notice where yellow appears in your life. It could be a flower, a candle, a notebook, piece of artwork, because the color yellow reminds us of warmth, courage, joy, and personal power. And perhaps it's a reminder that our own light deserves to shine too. I want to talk about confidence for a moment. I think many people misunderstand confidence. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. Confidence is choosing to move forward despite fear. Confidence isn't never making mistakes. Confidence is knowing you'll survive them. Confidence isn't knowing exactly what will happen. Confidence is trusting yourself to handle whatever happens. When I think about confidence that way, it suddenly feels much more accessible because none of us need to be fearless. And we simply need to trust ourselves a little more than we trust our fear. And I don't know about you, but if you've listened to the podcast, you know how big I am on affirmations. And I find them to be very healing and powerful. And these are things that you can say to yourself out loud. You can even write them down. When I would paint a room, before I painted, I would write them in pencil on the walls very lightly because the energy would still be there even when it's painted over. So some solar plexus chakra affirmations that I feel connected to are simple ones. I trust myself. I honor my inner wisdom. My voice matters. I am worthy exactly as I am. I release the need for outside validation. I trust my decisions. I believe in myself. I am confident, capable, and enough. So take a slow, deep breath and let those words settle where they need to settle. And as a reminder to accompany today's episode, I've also created a companion solar plexus chakra meditation focused on confidence, self-worth, courage, and self-trust. And you can find it where you found this episode. In it, together we'll gently explore relaxation, healing, and reconnecting with the strength that already exists within you. And I hope you'll join me for that meditation as well. And as an extra bonus, I always give 5 gentle journal prompts and 5 affirmations for that meditation. And those can be found at the end of the episode description for the guided meditation. And I love hearing from you, and I love hearing your stories and how an episode helps you in one way or another. So please feel free to reach out to me through social media platforms or by email at healingourkindredspirits@gmail.com. So as we close today, I want to leave you with this thought. You have survived every difficult day you've ever faced, every disappointment, every loss, every setback, every challenge. You may not always give yourself credit for it, but you're stronger than you think, wiser than you know, and far more resilient than you probably allowed yourself to believe. The truth is, your worth has never depended on your accomplishments, or your productivity, or your ability to make everyone else happy. You were worthy before you achieved anything. You're worthy now, and you will remain worthy tomorrow. Perhaps the solar plexus chakra isn't asking us to become someone new. Perhaps it's simply inviting us to remember who we've always been. And as you move through the coming days, may you trust yourself a little bit more. May you speak to yourself with kindness. May you honor your needs without guilt. May you remember your strengths, and may you recognize the light within yourself that has never gone out, even during the darkest seasons of your life. Until next time, remember, you are never too much, and you are always, always enough. Thank you.